Welcome! We are looking today again at the Lumonite Compass R V7 and the Armytek Pro Nichia C2 something. And as always, we are not really looking on the specs, more on the comparison and my experience with them. I made a video on my German channel as a comparison of the fifth version of the Lumonite against the Armytek. And today I make an update of it, so the video consists of 3 parts. The first part is I will recap the most important points from the German review. The second part is that I will look what is new from the V7 version compared to the V5 version. And the third part is that one of these tools manufacturers just have an outstanding service, and I tell you why. Headlamps are super important for me, and that's why I make videos about them. Because most of the winter they are my only source of light and I don't have a lot of electricity available. I also have to say, both are excellent headlamps on a very high level, and both headlamps are recommendable. It's just my personal preference and a few small differences on a high level. So the key points in the German review were that the Lumonite is smaller than the Armytek in every dimension, and also the headband is smaller than the Armytek ones. The metal headband from the Lumonite is better than from the Armytek because it's smaller, and in my impression it's more sturdy, especially when you carry it every day in the pocket. Then the advantage of the Lumonite is that this clip can stay on while you have it on the headband, while with the Armytek you can't have the clip on when you use the headband. The voltage control is better, as the Lumonite just starts to show you something if the voltage drops below 25%. And then in the cold it can be already too late that you can't really use it anymore, besides in a very low fireflight mode. The advantages of the Armytek were that you can use nearly every lithium-ion battery, which is a standard 18650, while the Armytek just can use some and they normally need to be protected. Then the reflector from the Armytek is much better, because you don't have that spot, you don't have that feeling like looking in a tunnel, because the light fades out evenly, while with the Lumonite you more have a sharper corner, and around that the things get black very fast. So the Armytek is much more comfortable regarding that. And the Armytek has a neutral white color of 4500 Kelvin, while the Lumonite, the V5 version, had 6000 Kelvins and was very cold and also green tilted. So now they brought out the new model, the Lumonite V7. And what is new with that, they changed the voltage control, that you now see it in the lamp when you turn it off. You see there is a green light, which means 75% to 100%, and they changed that. Now you only have 4 states instead of 5, but that's not a big thing. What is probably not so nice is when you turn it off, you always have that battery state. So you can't get completely dark with just one click, you always have that small light on. What is very sad what they changed is you can't really unscrew the tail cap anymore to have it like a key lock. Because you see, when I unscrew it, it stays on. I need to make it very loose until it turns off. So it's not an option anymore to use it as a key lock. Now you need to use that key lock where you keep the key pressed. And I don't like that so much. I prefer more that haptic key lock where you just make a quarter turn and you can't turn it on anymore, like it was with the old version or with the Armytek. You see, I make a quarter turn and it is off. Then what is also important, they changed the light color. They now say they have 5000 Kelvins instead of 6000 Kelvins. But when I compare it with the Armytek, who has 4500, there is a huge difference, and that difference feels much more than 500 Kelvin. I of course don't know if the Armytek is warmer than it states or if the Lumonite is colder than it states, but there is quite a big difference. Besides that, the Lumonite still has this green tint, which makes looking colors unnatural. So I would say, even from the facts, they are not far away. The Lumonite has the Nichia LED has a much nicer light, and you can also see colors very good. While with the Lumonite, especially if you're on a very low mode, like the Firefly mode, colors get very dull and hard to identify, especially because of the green tilt. Then they said they made a wider beam, because in my version, the V5, they narrowed the beam compared to the V4. And as I said, I don't like that. When I have that on the whole winter, then it's important for me that I have like a natural view. And with the Armytek I had that. With the V5 it was always like looking in a tunnel. And I have to say it's not so much better with the V7. It's perhaps a little bit better, but basically it still feels like a tunnel. And it's not like it fades out so nicely like with the Armytek. You still have like a space where it suddenly gets very dark, and that area you see is much narrower than the angle you can see with your eyes. Then what is very, very weird is they removed the clip from the package, which is very sad because I like the clip very much. In summer, when I very rarely use a headlamp, I normally just have it in my pocket with a clip and not with a headband. And when I need to use it, then I can just put it on like this. Not perfect, but I don't need it a lot. And then in summer, this is more convenient. What they also changed with the new Lumonite is that the polarity of the magnet is different, which means you can't use the old charger. They also changed the Firefly mode, and they already changed that with the V6, which means the Firefly mode from the V5 had 5 lumen, and the Firefly mode from the V7 now has just 2 lumen. And that I find also sad, because the next mode is 80 lumen. And normally when I'm in camp or when I'm in the tent in winter, I like to have at least 4 lumen. But not 80, because 80 is really pretty high, and then I need much more battery. And the Armytek is much better there because you have the 3 Firefly modes, also like one with 0.6, one with 2, one with 4.6. And then the next mode is 40 lumen, so it goes much more. You don't have these huge steps. And especially the low modes are important, that you can choose from the low modes. And there the Armytek is also better. So now let's come to the last part of the video. The service. And that's regarding Lumonite. They have an excellent service. I had this V4 about nearly 5 years, like how long the warranty is, and I had it every day in my pocket and I used it so much. And after that time, the button got a little bit, it was worn out quite a lot. Like the material was getting thinner and the button was not reacting so nice anymore, and also the highest mode was not working flawlessly. But they are all problems which are hard to reproduce and which are more subjective than objective. But still, I wrote them an email. I admitted that I used it very intense, but it was no problem. They said, send it to us. And when they received it, just 2 days later, they said, okay, that button is too difficult to repair. We sent you the newest model for free. And that's just awesome. First of all, I didn't need to send them any proof of buying. They looked that up from the database. So they didn't make anything complicated. They gave me a return code so I could return it for free. I didn't have any trouble or hazard with it, and they just sent me the new version without any problems. And that's awesome after such a long time, because the warranty basically was just half a year left. That really needs to get a lot of credits for that. So thank you very much, Lumonite. And I also have to say, they don't know that I made YouTube videos or anything on Instagram or whatever, because I wrote them from a totally private email. So they couldn't know that I was talking anything about them. And especially because at that time I already had the review out on my German channel where I also said I preferred the Armytek over the Lumonite. Yeah. So, both are great headlamps. Make your own choice and see you next time.